Can a seller take their home back once they sell it to you subject to? The answer is, it depends. Let's get into it. Welcome back to REI Simplified. I'm your host, Adam Johnson, where we break down complex real estate situations and scenarios for people like me and you, the beginning investor. A couple days ago, I got a question from a person on Facebook asking about can a person who sells their home subject to get the home back if they want it? And the answer is it depends. Why does it depend? Okay, so here's a little bit of my personal history and what I learned through years and years of doing what we do. Now, let me just first say that I am not an attorney. I am not a CPA. Nothing I talk about today should be considered legal or financial advice, okay? So I'm just gonna give you my perspective on what we have done after buying 50-something houses subject to. So, generally speaking, when I first started buying houses subject to, I was told by my attorney and a few other investors to, when you buy the property, to put the property into a family trust. Why a family trust? What I was told was that let's say that your seller's name are Mr. and Mrs. Smith. What would happen is you would create a family trust called the Mr. and Mrs. Smith Family Trust, and you'd put that property in that trust. Now, without getting too deep in the weeds as far as how the trusts work and who's the beneficiary and trustor, trustee, all the extra stuff, talk to your attorney for that. That's not my lane. But one reason that's good and one reason that's bad. It's good because on the mortgage side, if the mortgage ever were to see, for example, that the deed transferred from Mr. and Mrs. Smith to the Mr. and Mrs. Smith Family Trust, they're less likely to call the note due on sale clause. And we talked about that in other videos. I personally have never seen a home note called due on sale, ever, never. Not to say it hasn't happened or will not happen, but I personally have no experience dealing with that. And I know lots of investors who buy homes sub too. As I said before, I've done over 50 properties. So that is why one of the main reasons that when investors buy a property subject to, they put it into a family trust, again, to keep the same name, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Mr. and Mrs. Smith Family Trust. So it's less likely to trigger the due on sale clause with the mortgage company. Now, one big giant bad thing about the family trust is most of them, depending on your state and your city and all that extra stuff, are revocable trusts, meaning that the person, in this instance, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, who created the trust, they can revoke that. They can cut it off, null and void, act like it never was there, and they can take that house back. So when the question is, can a seller ever take their home back once they sell it subject to, the answer is it depends. And if you do a trust and they want to revoke that trust, then yes, by all means, they can take the house back. Now, how do we get around that? Our first 2022 properties we purchased and put them in a trust. Once we found out that was a possibility, and we had once found out it was a possibility, we realized we need to make sure that we're protected. So when we purchase property subject to, we put them in an S corp or an LLC. You can get fancy and you can have an individual LLC or an individual S corp per property. You can batch them where you do 2 or 3 per property. Per LLC or per S corp. Again, that the way you structure your purchases and how you structure your LLCs and S corps and all that should be better talked about with a CPA. So again, this is my 2 cents. I don't recommend purchasing properties and putting them in a family trust. That's my 2 cents. Again, a lot of investors, that's all they do, and they love it, they kill it, they do have great response with that, great benefits and that kind of stuff. We don't do that. Take that for what it's worth. So once again, my business wants to own the property. I want the deed to transfer from Mr. and Mrs. Smith, so we can own that deed, because deed is ownership. If the deed is owned by a trust, and that trust is owned by the previous seller, and the previous seller revokes that trust, then they take back the deed. So that's my 2 cents, guys. Please, by all means, talk to your attorney, talk to your CPA. Make sure that you are protected. Our 6 critical documents that I'll put a link in below that covers every transaction we've ever had, covers all that kind of stuff as well. Make sure that the verbiage is in there. And we feel very confident and very protected when we purchase property subject to. So I want to thank you all for watching this. If you got some value out of it, please like, share, subscribe, send it to a buddy. Why not? It's free. If I can ever help you guys get into real estate, start a business, improve your business systems, overall, anything we can help out with, we are always available. My name is Adam Johnson in Clarksville, Tennessee. Until the next video, until I see you on social media, or until you schedule that consultation with me directly, we'll see you guys next time. God bless. Go buy some houses.